Hari Om. We shall chant the shlokas from the beginning. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. अथ द्वादशोऽध्यायः अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततयुक्ताये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तम् तेषां के योगवित्तमाः श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेश्य मनो ये माम् नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेताः ते मे युक्ततमा मताः ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थमचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियम्येन्द्रियग्रामम् सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः. So this is a very beautiful chapter on Bhakti Yoga. It begins with Arjuna's question that who is a better knower of a yoga? Tesham ke yoga vittamaha. Who is a better knower of yoga means better knower of the sadhana which will ultimately lead to enlightenment or God realization. He says one is those who worship you in your manifest form, and others who worship you in your unmanifest form. Both of them are worshipping you only. So there are those who worship you in your manifest as this Virat Vishwaroop, seeing you as this cosmic person, having all the qualities, all gunas like Jagat Karta, Ishvara, Sarvatma, Sarvashaktiman, Sarvajna, Sarvantaryami, like that your qualities are there and you are manifested as this vast cosmos which we can see, and also lot of things, lot of your nature we cannot see, cannot comprehend, but which is manifest. So there are devotees who worship you in your manifest form. They constantly meditate on you, contemplate, they chant your name, and they offer all their services to you. These are the Vyakta Upasakas. And there are those who worship you in your unmanifest form. They contemplate on your essential nature. They shift their attention from all names and forms and pay attention to that supreme reality as it is, free from all limitation and not manifested to the eyes, to the senses, to the mind, to the intellect. Out of these two, who are the better knowers? So Bhagavan first talks about the Sagun or the devotees who worship him in the manifest form. He says that those who have their mind in me and constantly united with me, with with supreme faith in me, those who worship me, they are great, they excel. Te me yuktatama mataha. So they are great. But then Bhagavan also says that those who do nirgun upasana, avyakta upasana, they also attain me. They also ultimately attain me. So this nirgun upasana, there are certain pointers given in our scriptures to contemplate, to do chintan on those pointers and constantly pay our attention to that which is indicated by these pointers is called upasana. Upasana means to be seated. Seated means not physically seated, but within, with our mind, with our intellect, we should constantly contemplate on this concept and be near that concept. Like here it is said that there are 8 pointers given. Aksharam. Aksharam means that which doesn't decay. So one has to constantly think, reflect on this term, aksharam, and then pay attention to that which is indicated by this term. Whatever we have understood, let our mind, let our intellect be totally absorbed by the meaning of this term. That is called seating or upasana. Upasana also means, upa means near, sitting near. Means letting the mind, the intellect be near the ultimate truth through our thinking. Like sometimes we might be physically away from some person, but when we think of that person, it is as though we are sitting close to that person. We are sitting near that person. Sometimes we say also to our friends, oh, I feel very close to you. That friend may be quite far physically, but one may feel one's closeness. Similarly, when one constantly contemplates on these terms, the mind, the intellect feels close to that supreme reality. That itself is called upasana, sitting near, sitting close. And this is a sadhana. Just as the fire is there and the wood also contains fire, but there is a blazing fire near which the wood is placed. In the beginning, all the wetness in the wood, it goes away, and the wood start becoming more and more dry, and a time comes when suddenly the wood catches fire. So how does it catch fire? Just by being near to that fire. And why does it catch fire? Because potentially it is fire only. Potentially it is fire. A wood is fire plus something else. That something else is preventing it from being manifest. So when that wood remains near fire, it gets heated up and then suddenly it catches fire. And so that is, sitting near that fire is called upasana. Similarly, with our intellect, with our mind, we have to sit near the concept, the understanding of that supreme reality. Our mind and intellect will not be able to completely comprehend the supreme, but as much as we can, with the help of the scriptures, when we keep our attention on that supreme and just sit there in that attitude, that itself is called upasana. And that upasana will lead us to that state of realization or enlightenment. So here Bhagavan is talking about the nirgun upasak who uses this term like aksharam, then anirdesham. Anirdesham is that which cannot be defined. God or the supreme reality cannot be defined. It can be only indicated. It defined means you cannot put it into words, because definition is like like binding an object into words. So it cannot be bound, it cannot be contained in words, because whatever the words say is only limited, or it can be most an indicator. The words themselves are not the supreme. Like the word water, and the meaning of the word water is not water. But it is the thing when we think about that word water and we contemplate on the meaning, then that it can bring us close to the water. Similarly, when we think about the meaning or these indicators, then it brings us close to that supreme reality, as though we can identify with it. So, anirdesham, it cannot be defined, indefinable. Avvaktam, avvaktam is not vakta. Vaktam is that which is manifest. It is unmanifest. Just as fire in wood is unmanifest. Similarly, that supreme reality is unmanifest, means it can never become an object of our senses, can never become an object of our mind or intellect. Whatever the objects of our mind, senses are just expression, they are appearance, they are not the reality itself, they are the appearance. Like for example, Akash, space. Space can never become an object of our eyes. But you might say, oh, I see the space, a blue color and all. That is just an appearance. Or I see it spherical, that is just an appearance. The space can never come in front of the eyes, because it doesn't have any qualities like color and form to be seen by the eyes. Similarly, the supreme reality doesn't have any qualities which can be comprehended by the senses or the mind or the intellect. Therefore, it is called avvakta, not manifest. But at the same time, whatever we see as this vast cosmos is an appearance or expression of that supreme reality alone. It's like we see this flower and we say the flower is beautiful. See, beauty is expressing itself through this flower. Beauty is expressing through flower. Beauty itself is much subtler than this flower. Similarly, God or that supreme reality expressed through the world, but He is beyond the world, beyond all names and beyond all forms. So therefore, though He is in the world, seen as the world, He is pervading the entire world in His unmanifest form. So sarvatra gama means all pervading. Supreme reality or God is all pervading. In each and everything He is there as the very substratum of that object. So this thought itself, when we keep contemplating on it, constantly becomes upasana. So sarvatra gama, we have to just meditate and contemplate on this word, that supreme reality is all pervading, saman everywhere. Hari vyapak sarvatra samana. So and when we do that, when we constantly contemplate, our identification with the body also disappears, because we are meditating on that which is pervading not only this body but everything, the entire cosmos. And just meditating on this thought itself will take us beyond all limitations and bondage. That is the power of that word. See, words have their own power. So there are these scriptures, the words of the scriptures have power to transcend us, take us beyond all limitation. The words are the powerful thing. No object no machine, no technology. The words themselves takes us beyond our limitation. So that is the power of the words of the scriptures. So sarvatra gama. Then achintyam, again a very contradictory sort of term, indicator, that supreme reality is achintyam. Achintyam means cannot be thought of, beyond thinking, cannot be comprehended by thinking. Achintyam. It's like in Zen also they have something called koan. So you have to think about that which cannot be thought of. We have to comprehend that which is beyond thoughts, which is not thought. Supreme reality is not a thought. Supreme reality is not an object. It is that which is the substratum, support of all thoughts also. So achintyam, beyond all thinking. Kutastham. Kut also means this maya is also called kut. So this illusion is also called kut. Kut niti and all, we sometimes use that term. So this world which we see is kuta. Kuta means an appearance. It appears to be there, but it is not there. Even science is finding it very puzzling. They keep trying to find out what is the secret behind this world. And they come up with various theories. In the good old days, they thought it is just an atom and all. But sometimes now they feel that it must be some sort of vibration. Some string theory is there, which is just some vibration. And that's what in some of our philosophy it is termed as spanda. The whole world is a spanda, a vibration. Or it is also called vilas, chid vilas, the play of consciousness. The world is a play of consciousness. So it's very illusory. It is not what it seems to be. It is not what it feels to be. It appears as one thing, but it is something else only. Even in the physical world, when we say that I am seeing you, or when I say that I am looking at the star, in fact, I am looking at that star which was there in the past, because by the time the light has reached here, the star has already moved. As some scientists said, that we cannot look into space without looking into the past. When we look out in the space, we are also going into the past. So it's a very illusory world, but in this illusory world, that which exists in this illusory world as the substratum of this world is called kutastha, seated in kuta, seated in an illusion. Seated in an illusion. It's like the post appearing like a ghost. So ghost is there, but the post, where is the post? Post is seated in the ghost. He is hiding there inside the ghost. Similarly, that supreme reality is seated in this world, hiding inside the world, hiding inside each and every object and everything. One has to uncover, one has to remove the covering. Like Tulsidas ji gives example, like in some lake and all, the moss gathers on top of that water. And the entire lake appears green, as though like a field, like a golf course. It appears totally green. But when you go near there and just separate the moss, you can see the water underlying. Similarly, this entire world, if we just shift our attention from the name and the form, the underlying reality will be comprehended. Therefore, it is called kutastha, seated in kuta, seated in an illusion, seated inside maya. But the world is constantly changing, so it must also be changing. He says, no, achalam, that reality is achal, unmoving, unchanging. Everything changes, appears to be changing, but that Supreme remains unchanging. It is not affected by time, it is not affected by space, or not affected by any objects. It is unmoving, unchanging. See, when we force our mind, our intellect to contemplate on this, we also then get transcended beyond all change to that changeless realm. We get it's like a person constantly feeling sleepy and constantly think of sleep. He gets transported in the sleep. He gets attracted towards sleep. Similarly, one who constantly meditate on these terms which indicate that supreme reality gets transcended into that state of abiding in that supreme reality. So, kutastham, achalam, changeless, and dhruvam means nityam, means eternal. That supreme truth is eternal. And that is not different from me. See, when we do this upasana means to sit close. Close means to identify with it, and sitting completely close is complete identification. So it is not that I am different and the supreme reality is different. One has to meditate and do chintan with abheda bhavana. As Bhagwan Ramana Maharshi says, Bheda bhavanat soham ityaso bhavana bheda pavani mata. To do upasana with bheda bhavana is okay, but better than that or greater and more auspicious is to do upasana with abheda bhavana, that I and the Supreme are not too different. It is same. That's called abheda, soham, that saha, aham iti, that he am I. Ishvara am I. So here the Ishvara's nirgun, nirakar swarup is indicated through all these terms, and that am I is called upasana, to sit close, to sit very close, so much close that then no difference appears or no difference remains between I and God. That's called upasana. Upasana is a very technical term. Upasana doesn't mean eating. Some people upvas hai aaj, they keep on thinking about what they have to eat only. And others also know it is something to do with eating. So when somebody says, my upvas is there, people will ask, so kya khaoge aap? It has nothing to do with God. Generally people feel it is something to do with eating only. Eating some, and then on that upvas they make nice pakodes and all. Sabudana khichdi, pakode, this, that and all. And they are very happy. Upvas. Upvas means upavasa. Vasa means to be seated, to remain close, upa. So it is nothing to do with food and clothing and shelter and all, but it has got something to do with contemplating and feeling our closeness with that supreme reality. The closer we feel, the more our upasana. And complete identification is the fulfillment of this upasana. So upasana leads to total identification with that supreme truth. Now here, these are the indicators, given here 8 indicators, but there are many in our scriptures. But then Bhagavan also says that those who are doing this nirgun upasana or avyakta upasana, they have to follow certain principles, certain things they have to follow. And what are they? The 3 things are mentioned here in the next verse. Ki sanniyamendriya gramam sarvatra samabuddhayaha, and sarvabhuta hite rataha. Three things. If we follow these three and then do the upasana, then Bhagavan says, te prapnuvanti mameva. They will attain me alone. So what are the three things? The first is sanniyamya indriya gramam, controlling all the senses. Indriya gram, all the senses. Total control over all the senses. When we have to meditate and contemplate on that which is avyakta, the senses, they only run into the vyakta. See, the senses are meant to comprehend or interact and see that which is manifest. The eyes can see color and form, ears can hear sound. So all these senses, they go in the field of that which is manifest. But when we have to contemplate on that which is unmanifest, senses should not create any disturbance. So they should be totally under our control. The eyes, the ears, the nose, the hand, the legs, all the karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, they should be absolutely in our control. Then only this nirgun upasana becomes successful. Otherwise, one starts creating or imagining colors, imagining forms, because that intense desire is there to see, to hear, to taste, to touch. So even nirgun upasak, this will sit and start seeing all sorts of colors and forms and sound and all. And also sensation and all. So these are just attachment to experiencing the world. So we, in the name of upasana also, we like to experience something, and the mind then creates that experience for that person. And we are also happy. So one has to give chutti to the senses, because it is not something to be seen, so eyes should be told to just keep quiet. The ears also should be given chutti. So all the senses are kept under control. They are told that you should just drop all your activities and just keep quiet. See, our eyes, it never stops seeing. When we are awake, the eyes continuously sees. When we close our eyes also, the eyes is seeing. It continues to see our eyelid. It never stops seeing. So it wants to see, because that is the very nature of the eyes. Similarly, ears, it wants to hear. That is the very nature of the ears. But seeing, hearing, tasting, touching will create disturbance in my avyakta upasana. So they should be kept under control. So just when we close our eyes, just remain like that. Don't create any illusion of color and form. So all the senses to be kept under control. One who has got total control over the senses will be able to do this avyakta upasana more efficiently. Then the second quality is sarvatra samabuddhayaha. Even a nirgun upasak, avyakta upasak also lives in this world, interacts with the world. So till we attain that state of transcendence or God realization, one is constantly aware of the world, interact with the world. So one should keep this attitude or this vision in mind that supreme truth exists in all in the same way. Sarvatra samabuddhayaha. Sarvatra sama, that in everything and everyone one should have the vision of sameness. Vision of sameness means not that everyone is same, but in everyone that same reality is there. In the good as well as in the bad. In the animal, birds, plant as well as human being, the same reality is there. Not that animal and human being are same. but the same reality is there in equal measure in all. So that attitude should be kept even while interacting with the world. That helps us in our nirgun or avyakta upasana. That everything is same. Same truth pervades all. Hari vyapak sarvatra samana. Siya ramamay sab jagajani. That the divinity or the truth is existing in all in the same way. One should not have, this is very interesting, one should not have a feeling that the divinity is more at one place and less at one place. That divinity is more at one time and less at another time. That it is more on Ekadashi day and less on some other day. That attitude should not be there in an avyakta upasak. He should not have any this thing about a special place, time and all those things. This is fine for a Vyakta upasak. He needs a special place. Vrindavan mein baith ke first class, you can think and meditate on Krishna, that is fine. But for a Vyakta upasak, whether he is sitting in Vrindavan or whether he is sitting in a Smashan Bhumi, it should be same. Like Lord Shiva, he sits everywhere. He just sits in the cremation ground and meditates. That doesn't mean we have to go specially there. But all places, all time, all space is same. All beings, all objects are pervaded by the same truth. This is for Avyakta Upasak. We are talking about those who want to meditate on God beyond all names and forms. Then we should not have a limitation of name and form on him. If you have, then you again get caught up in the names and forms. It's like suppose I want to understand gold in all the gold ornaments, then the first thing I should do is remove my attention from the various forms and all and try to understand the gold behind it. Like they make dolls of sugar dolls, various types, hathi, ghoda, this, that, everything is made from sugar. And then the father had brought all these dolls to his son. And he said, this is all made from sugar. So, if the child will look and he will see all different forms, but he should shift his attention from the form and should be able to understand the sugar. For that he has to taste the sugar. So you just pick up the hathi and taste the mouth of that hathi. Or you can pick up even a buffalo and taste it. Sugar, huh? Don't quote me out of context. Whatever you pick up and taste will be sweet, because that sweetness is same. Sweetness is same. Our Gurudev used to tell a story about how one family was there and they had made a murti of gold, complete Ram Darbar, Ram and Lakshmana and Sita and Hanumanji and all. But then they had some problem, they had some financial trouble and all, and then they decided that, okay, Hanuman ji ko jo hai. So they went to this and said, oh, Hanuman ji le lijiye aap aur uska daam de dijiye. So then उसने wait किया, उसका क्या बोलते उसको, they weighed it and gave the amount. Then again there was some problem. Then again who said, Lakshmana, you said done so much seva of Bhagwan. Then the weight was different and she said, इसका इतना मिलेगा, उसका उतना मिलेगा. He says, Lakshmana है, उनका तो ज़्यादा होना चाहिए. और he says, Lakshmana, Hanuman ji कोई भी हो, we go take according to the weight. Similarly, When we shift our attention from the names and forms, we see the essence is same in all. So we should develop an attitude, ability to see the essence in all. And that will come only when we keep this samabuddhi, that sarvatra samabuddhaya, that everyone and everything is pervaded by the same reality. See, when we interact with the world, we are interacting with the name and form. So in interaction, we should take care of the differences. We should be aware of the differences. The differences of name and form, we should be aware, and we should interact accordingly. But in our buddhi, we should have the vision that the same reality exists in all. So we should know that this is fire and this is water, and we should do the vyavhar accordingly. I cannot say fire and water are same. Fire and water are not same, but the same reality is there in fire and water. So if you want to deal with fire, then deal with accordingly. Deal with water accordingly. But with the vision that both of them have the same reality. That is called samabuddhi. So sarvatra samabuddhayaha. And third, sarvabhuta hite rataha. While living in this world, one should constantly strive for the welfare of all. Welfare of all beings. Whether human beings, animal, birds, plant, one should strive for the welfare of all beings. Hita means welfare. We should strive for the welfare of all beings. That just as we look at our own welfare, we should look and strive for the welfare of all beings. So when we interact with the world with this attitude of welfare, when we look at everything with the attitude that the same divinity is there in all, when we have control over our senses, with these qualities in our heart, when we do avyakta upasana, then it becomes successful. Avyakta upasana is also good, but unless these qualities are there, it will not be successful. So sarva bhuta hite rataha, sarvatra samabuddhayaha, and sanniyamendriya gramam. With these qualities, mam upasate, one who does this avyakta upasana, avyaktam paryupasate, te prapnuvanti mam eva. Bhagavan says, they attain me alone. So the avyakta upasak also attain God, and avyakta upasak also attain God. Because God is one only. Whether we meditate on